Welcome everyone to the very first in a new series of interviews highlighting the informed societies, the largest of the informed communities, that each focus on a common area of interest within the study or practice of operations research, data science, analytics, and more. In this series, we'll be sharing each society's unique focus and activities, as well as taking a broader look at what's happening in the communities they represent. In this interview, we'll be discussing the Analytics Society, which is focused on promoting the use of data-driven analytics and fact-based decision-making in practice. I'm joined today by Harrison Schramm, Principal Research Scientist at Group W and President of the Analytics Society, and Beverly Wright, Chief Analytics Strategist at Access Group, Executive Director and Clinical Assistant Professor at the University of South Carolina, and Vice President of the Analytics Society. Can you each tell us about your roles within the Analytics Society?
Good morning, Ashley, and thank you so much for doing this. We're thrilled to be the inaugural video podcast focusing on societies. I'm the president of the Analytics Society, and every time I say that, I have to pinch myself a little bit to realize that that's not a dream. I first became involved with the Analytics Society almost a decade ago at the Analytics Conference that was held in Huntington Beach. And when I was first introduced to the Analytics Society and the people that were there, I felt that I had found my professional home, at least as an analyst, because you end up, if you go to an Analytics Society function, you end up talking to people that are dressed well, are interested in mathematical aspects of machine learning and linear programming, but also have a suit and are facing their clients. And so I would say that the overall direction of the Analytics Society that perhaps differentiates it from other professional societies is that we are laser focused on delivering actionable results to the people that we serve, be those the clients and the interaction and the agencies and organizations that we interact with. And so instead of always looking for the most elegant solution, we as a group of professionals are looking towards the best answer that will help make better decisions and further society.
As vice chair of the Analytics Society, I will say that my personal objective in my career and in my field is to elevate analytics, stimulate innovation, and encourage collaboration. Those are kind of the three pillars that I operate on professionally. I feel like the alignment with the Analytics Society falls within those three different domains of trying to advance the practice forward. And so I'm hoping to bring some of my more action-based, I like to get things done, action-based kind of energy and sort of thinking outside of the box with the Analytics Society and serving in a way that helps us reach our goals.
So before we take a deeper dive into the Analytics Society and its activities, I'd love to take a broader look at the field of analytics as a whole. Could you each share what are some new research efforts or applications that are developing in the field that you're particularly excited about?
So analytics is a big tent. So when you ask us this question, you're asking each of us to shine a small flashlight onto a huge field. The areas that my practice is touching right now have a lot to do with manpower systems. There's been a lot more data that's been collected. And so in collecting more data, there's the possibility for getting more insights into large-scale promotion systems. And when you start to do that kind of work and applying rigorous statistical, in my case, mostly techniques, you begin to touch on fundamental areas and fundamental issues of justice in society. So it's really exciting. It's really exciting work. A lot of the work that I see both in my own practice and the practice of the people that I'm close with is organizations have collected huge amounts of data, but they are just now at the threshold of being able to extract meaning from that data. So I think that the work that's going to be going on for the next few years is going to be centered around not just collecting the data, but actually turning that data into actionable insights. The analytics field is very, very hot right now. Everybody that I know who's working in this field is pretty much as employed as they want to be.
Absolutely. And a couple of things that I would love to add, Ashley, is that some of the areas of application for analytics have expanded into places that I'm very happy to see. So for one, I would say the areas of application expansion is really interesting. And the ones that really make me tick are the analytics for good sorts of applications. So I think when I started back in 91, I know I'm dating myself here, it was a very, sort of, if we do this, will we see more profit? And that was kind of the name of the game, or will we see a reduction in cost? And now we're expanding into other social good kinds of areas as well. So for example, leveraging analytics to better understand homelessness. I'm working on a project right now where we're trying to figure out how to solve the homelessness problem among youth aging out of foster care. And who would have thought 10, 15, 20 years ago that we would have leveraged data for this purpose? So I like seeing the application areas that focus on social good. And the other things that make me excited are the way that we're collecting data now. It's become much more granular, and I want to say almost intimate. It's not enough to see what people are doing. We actually want to know how they feel, and not just sentiment, but actually feel emotionally. So I think the granularity of the way we're collecting data and the intimacy that's involved in some of that data collection, it'll be interesting to see all the different ways that we use it. But those are the things that sort of make me excited.
So what do you think the next big thing in the field of analytics will be?
I think that the next big thing actually is neither next nor big. I think that the trend, and again, this is what sets analytics apart from people that are purely focused on science or scientific aspects of the research, is the human touch. I had statistics professors who used to joke about the mythical data.analyze method, where you would, take your data, feed it in the machine, hit data.analyze, it would turn a crank and spit out answers. That has been attempted to be built over years by various organizations, all of which have met with some degree of failure. So it is my sense that as the science advances and becomes more complex, and the data advances, becomes more nuanced and larger, that the human beings who are going to do that interpretation function are going to become increasingly critical. And then I'm a huge fan of PBS Space-Time. And Matt O'Dowd, who's the host of that, has said on several occasions, bad research starts with bad questions. So it is imperative, as we have larger computers and able to do bad work at depth and speed, that we have enough human sentinels standing guard to make sure that good work is actually what happens.
Yeah, I love that. Totally on board with some of what I wanted to say as well. But I think some of the next big things, I hadn't thought about problem framing until you mentioned some of that, Harrison, but understanding better about how to frame problems throughout the data literacy kind of movement, I think is a next big thing, if you want to call it a next big thing. But data for all, sort of that idea of data for all and data understanding for all, and being able to become data literate, almost as if, understanding an Excel sheet or understanding how to type it used to be a special skill. Again, I'm dating myself, but I remember taking a typing class in high school. Can you imagine? And so I think that's one thing, is sort of this data for all kind of movement and larger data literacy across organizations, which I think helps with some of the challenges that we faced in the past of not framing problems properly. So I think we'll see a better emphasis on that. A second sort of big thing is analytics enablement. And this notion of analytics enablement, I think, has started bubbling up from the attempted implementation efforts of both, our full spectrum of analytics world. So both the BI side and the predictive and even beyond in optimization and AI, machine learning type applications that didn't always get integrated into the way, into a company the way that they should have. So we create things, but then are they really getting leveraged the way we wanted them to? The answer was not always yes. And some of those blockers included things like cultural blockers as well as technology blockers. And that's, I think, where this analytics enablement notion came up. Like it's not enough to produce the analytic. We have to enable it. We can't just give fruit. We have to show them how to plant a garden. So that movement of analytics enablement has gotten, I think, more appreciation. And I'm actually starting to see position titles around analytics enablement, which I think is really encouraging. From those are the two soft, I think, big next, but for the two kind of harder quant, more objective, I guess, I would say cognitive computing and AI are going to continue to advance and do their thing. And then I also think that secondly, on the quant side, that graph analytics is going to start to take a seat at the table. So predictive has been there, and we've all, regression has been around a long time. I've been doing regression models since 1990, but I think graph analytics is going to get more attention as the power and the simplicity of such an eloquent kind of analysis comes to light. And so that's where I think we can start seeing the future lead us.
So again, looking ahead to the future, what do you expect the field of analytics to look like in 5 years or even 10 years?
So in the United States, I think that it's going to, I think there's going to be a renewed focus on driving towards the decisions. At the analytics meeting several years ago, a keynote speaker got up and said, basically, where's my flying car? In the sense that there was this enormous promise when the analytics movement began, and that sort of peaked. And now we're sort of into what the Gartner hype cycle people refer to as the plateau of productivity. So I think that what we're going to see is a continued focus on explaining hardcore mathematical results to leaders. And most of the junior staff that I work with, as part of mentorship and development, the technical skills is generally not what I focus mentorship and development on. People who have good degrees in this field, they can do the math. And if you have a minimal background in computing and mathematics, if you've got something you want to do, you can just bang your head against Stack Overflow and figure out how to make the computer do it. That's not the hard part. The hard part is walking into the executive and telling them what to do, but making them believe that they should actually do what you're about to recommend that they do. So I think that, again, it's back to a human touch, but I think that is where we need to grow as a profession. And that's what I would like to see happen over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I love that. And interestingly, Ashley, the feedback that I get from hiring managers, like say I'm producing, these students, and then they're hiring them, and they come back to me, and it's funny, the different perspectives. The hiring managers will come back and say, gosh, they're so good at the technical side. Like they know how to rock, Python, or they really train them how to do the actual model. But they're sort of weaker on the before and the after. What happens before the model and how you set things up and the structure and how you architect an analytics project. And they're not always telling the right story. And so it's that, approaching the consumer of the analytic and the senior leadership, like Harrison is saying, and being able to tell a story, not just the results, but a story that leads to actionable insights. I would love to see that as a greater capability in 5 to 10 years. Some of the other things that I was thinking in 5 to 10 years is I think the tools are going to continue to take some of the heavy lifting out of the hands of the analytics professional. And to be frank, it's a little bit scary. So I think what we're going to see is a little bit of a division, and the gap is going to widen between those that are very technically savvy and those that are more using the tools. And so right now, we're sort of, most of us are kind of in the middle. You know, the way the industry is laid out, we're all sort of, you know, somewhat technically savvy, but maybe not like deep data science understanding that could build an entire program and tool that others could use. But you're not so unsavvy that you don't know how to run a basic Excel, regression or something. So we're sort of in this middle zone. And I think what we'll see is some sort of, there won't be a place, in my opinion, for the middle ground in the future. You're either going to be shoved to the few and far between, but highly technical that can build a tool, or you're going to be a tool user. Not to say that it's the skill level of the tool users are going to go down. I don't think it'll go down. I think everybody will rise up to a certain amount. But that's what I see in 10 years is leveraging tools and having more advanced tools, and the ability to actually use the tools will become a skill in and of itself, not necessarily to understand how the tool was made.
So now, against this backdrop of what's happening in the field of analytics as a whole, can you share a little background on the society and the role that it plays?
So first of all, the most exciting thing happening in the society is that the analytics conference is going to happen in person. And that's going to be about 6 weeks from today. It's the 3rd through the 5th of April in Houston. If you haven't registered yet, you're wrong. In addition to, not to put too fine of a point on it, in addition to my role as president of the Analytics Society, I was recently tapped by Informs to serve as the Edelman Gala chair for this year and also next year. Probably the low point of the pandemic for me was seeing the virtual gala last year, which the Inform staff and the hosts did a wonderful job of, but still, that was the low point of the pandemic for me, was sitting on my couch watching it on this computer, sort of almost weeping over the loss of analytics' biggest night. So super excited to be back. We're going to have a redux of our business meeting. Our business meeting at the annual meeting was virtual and was totally unsatisfying. Not that anyone did anything wrong, it's just it was virtual. So we're having an in-person business meeting that's going to be right before the gala events begin. I'm probably going to stop by, say hello, and then run off to MC the awards reception. But it's really pretty exciting to be back.
Can you share what are some of the benefits of belonging to the Analytics Society?
I'm excited to get to know the colleagues that are part of the Analytics Society, and secondly, feel the energy and the innovation that happens as a result of this component of Inform. So for me, I'm really excited about some of the networking and getting to know people and seeing that innovation come to light.
One tangible benefit that we offer our members, my first career was as a helicopter pilot in the U.S. Navy. And when I retired from the Navy, I was looking for a job. And a number of interviews that I went to, I went in, and the people that I was interviewing, maybe not the principal, but someone in the room, were people that I had had contact with through the Analytics Society. So it is a very calming thing to go into an interview with people that you already know. And I would also offer that a benefit of being involved in professional societies is that it gives you a broader perspective. There's a temptation to become solely focused on your own vertical. and not realize that people in other industries have problems that are more or less the same problems you have. So just being aware that other people have the same problems you do is a tremendous advantage in getting your own work done.
And for those individuals that are in the earlier stages of the careers, what are some specific benefits for them?
I love directing students to Informs and encouraging them to join something like the Analytics Society or some of the other societies that are part of Informs. I think it can establish a real pattern and a lifelong kind of, or at least career-long learning path for them. So getting started early can set that trajectory of, hey, I'm done with school, but that doesn't mean the learning has stopped, right? So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I often talk about the value of mentorship to my students. And this gives an outlet for helping them find mentors and people that are able to, they can look up to and aspire to become in their careers.
So all of us that are doing this work, I said earlier that everybody that I know who's practicing is more or less as employed as they want to be. The demand is not going to go down, at least in the United States. So if we don't mentor and develop the people behind us, we're going to be working ridiculous hours for the rest of forever, which is frankly something I don't want to do. And so one way that the Analytics Society has sort of put a marker on the table. We just gave a grant to the Early Career Professionals Network, ECPN, which is partially led by our former president. And we've just granted some money for them to help early career professionals be able to attend and participate in the spring conference.
Now, what are some unique goals and objectives you've identified moving forward for the Analytics Society?
So I saw this Nova special. I watch a lot of public television. So I saw this Nova special some years ago about the pursuit of absolute zero. And one of the scientists who had succeeded in making the coldest thing ever said anything worth doing is worth doing quickly. And I believe that. But in 2022, as we are emerging slowly from the pandemic, I'd like to offer an important corollary, and that is anything that's worth doing is worth building a team to do. So we are both as individuals and as a society seeking partnerships and opportunities. I've taken calls this week from presidents of 2 other societies where we've talked about opportunities for collaboration. We clearly have a set of common interests with the Practice Society, with Pooja Dewan as their president, and then something that we have committed to supporting, although the mechanics of it have not been worked out. But Informs is going to have a second iteration of the security conference in August in the Washington, D.C. area, and Military Applications Society is the proponent of that. But we're going to help support that as well. So collaboration, we are open to and seeking opportunities for.
Now, are there any volunteer opportunities that are available within the society?
Oh, goodness, yes. Send me a note or hit me up on Informs Connect and I will put you to work. We're always looking for people to help out with prizes and awards. We're also looking for people to help out chairing our activities around the annual meeting. Our turnover is at the annual meeting. Our presidency is a 1-year term, so Beverly will be taking this over at the annual meeting in Indianapolis. And we're looking for people to help organize tracks. We're also looking for mid to senior folks to serve as officers and on our board.
Harrison, Beverly, thank you both for sharing a look inside the Analytics Society and its role in advancing the field and value to members. And stay tuned for more interviews highlighting the informed sections and societies throughout the coming year.